Chapter 471 Devouring. Just then, as if having thought of something, the nearby Ling Er suddenly asked doubtfully, "Master, do you intend to wait until it completely evolves into a life form like you?" "Yes." Nodding slightly, Yuziyu flashed a smile and straightforwardly affirmed, "This fellow possesses a terrifying innate talent, definitely one of the most terrifying innate talents. However, such innate talent is undoubtedly wasted in its hands." Ah. Momentarily startled, Ling Er shot a glance at the black willow tree not far away, already in the process of evolving into Yuziyu's tree body, and agreed with it. Purely in terms of innate talent, this sea beast king was indeed terrifying. However, the problem was that it seemed to be cloning others. In the process of completing its self-evolution, it would discard its original form. In other words, all its original abilities would disappear. In light of this, whether its innate talent was good or bad, it was really hard to say. With these thoughts in mind, Ling Er added, "Master, this guy's innate talent is to copy the abilities of others, and in doing so, it also abandons its original abilities. Are you sure you want such an innate talent?" At this point, Ling Er became a bit agitated and continued, "Master, you've gone through a lot to reach your current level. If you abandon what you originally had, wouldn't it be—" Before Ling Er could finish speaking, a playful voice interrupted her. "Ling Er, you've misunderstood." "Misunderstood?" Ling Er was taken aback, a little bewildered. At this moment, seeing Ling Er's puzzled expression, Yuziyu took the initiative to explain, "No matter how strong the innate talent is, it still needs to be developed. And during development, which way the innate talent evolves into, no one can say for certain. This innate talent, when manifested in the Sea Beast King, leads to all-round self-evolution, but it may not necessarily yield the same results for me." At this point, Yuziyu also glanced at the sea beasts hanging in the sky and stated with a smile, "Among humans there is a saying, take the cream and discard the dross." With that said, Yuziyu raised his feet. Tap, tap, tap. With heavy footsteps, Yuziyu's youthful figure slowly made his way to the towering willow tree and chose to meditate under it. "Today, you all will be the nourishment for my advancement to Tier 4. As Yuziyu's calm and indifferent voice echoed, the ground started quaking. Boom, boom, boom. Accompanied by terrifying roars, tree roots as thick as water buckets resembling black pythons shot out of the ground one after another, heading straight toward the Tier 3 sea beast. Squillish, squillish, squillish. Accompanied by crisp tearing sounds, cries of despair filled the forest. Roar, roar, roar. Their painful wails continued, but they were already on a path of no return, with not even a single chance to struggle. Because, at the same time these roots pierced their bodies, a terrifying suction emerged from the roots. Boom, boom, boom. The roots continuously contracted and expanded, devouring their blood and energy in a steady stream. Visible to the naked eye, one could see streams of blood-red essence, mixed with spiritual energy flowing along the roots, surging into Yuziyu's towering body. For a moment, even Yuziyu's towering glistening body was dyed with a layer of blood-red color. A Tier 3 sea beast was a very powerful life form. And now there were 3 of them, all for Yuziyu to devour. Each one was a deep-sea behemoth, with flesh and blood so rich that it far exceeded people's imagination. In light of this, one could understand how terrifying Yuziyu's devouring was. At this moment, looking up at the sky, one could even see turbulent winds stirring the clouds in the mist-filled sky, accompanied by terrifying howling of winds. How far has his cultivation reached? Witnessing the terrifying cultivation signs in the vicinity, a small elephant, as if cast from white jade, appeared quietly beside Ling Er, gasping in shock. "Take a guess." Ling Er mischievously laughed, choosing not to give a straight answer. Just then, as if she remembered something, Ling Er's face suddenly darkened. She instantly glared at the small elephant, cursing, "You stupid elephant! Do you know you almost killed me just now? Why the hell did you use a move that freezes space? If Master hadn't appeared in time, I would have lost an arm or leg if not dead." Listening to Ling Er's complaints, the white elephant seemed to realize his mistake and silently lowered his head. However, just at that moment, a grumble suddenly echoed in the air. "Didn't I promise the divine tree to protect you for 3 years to make up for it? 3 years?" Sporting a pout, Ling Er rebuked in a dissatisfied voice, "You think 3 years are enough? Hell no, you almost cost me half of my life. If you think you can redeem yourself with just 3 years, that's not gonna work." Saying this, Ling Er gestured with 5 fingers. 5 years, at least 5 years. Ah. Stunned for a moment, the jade-like small elephant also began to calculate in his mind. I guess she is indeed right. But why do I feel as if something's off? With a slight suspicion in his mind, he tried to defend himself. 5 years is too long, how about 4 years? Fine then. I'll settle for 4 years. Ling Er mischievously chuckled, feeling a bit satisfied. Actually, she didn't really mind how many years it was, she found it quite amusing to play with this elephant like this. Despite the white elephant's terrifying strength, he lacked experience. He was the extremely innocent type. In other words, he was silly and cute, which made him extremely adorable. Also, Ling Er had her reasons in wanting to have him stay by her side. The white elephant could freely control his size, which was very convenient. In addition, his combat power was exceptional. If the white elephant could stay by her side, he would provide some assurance for her future plans. As for how many years the white elephant would stay by her side, Ling Er didn't really care. Not to mention 3 years, even if the white elephant stayed by her side for 3 months, Ling Er had a way to make sure he couldn't leave her. In other words, an exceptionally good partner had been tricked just like that. Feeling pleased, Ling Er's gaze shifted to the nearby young man sitting under a divine tree, his expression as serious as an old monk in meditation. Faintly, a hint of spiritual aura rose around him. At this moment, if one were to look closely, they would certainly notice new saplings growing in the vicinity of the young man, accompanied by an increasingly rich vitality. And at this moment, a crisp system notification rang in Yu Ziyu's ear. Ding, you have killed a Tier 3 Transcendent Sea Beast, evolution points plus 140,000. Upon receiving the notification, the sea beast suddenly convulsed in its death throes. Immediately after, to the astonishment of the nearby Ling Er and the white elephant, this massive sea beast completely dissolved into blood water, continuously surging into Yu Ziyu's roots, dyeing the entire root system of Yu Ziyu red. Faintly, one could hear a desperate wail echoing in the air. It completely devoured, leaving not even the bones. And this is the terror of the current devouring ability of Yu Ziyu's roots. They could now thoroughly absorb and replenish what Yu Ziyu required to a large extent. Chapter 472 Breakthrough in Progress. Over 18 million evolution points. Softly murmuring, Yu Ziyu gazed at the series of numbers on the status screen, his eyes squinting. So many evolution points were something he wouldn't even dare to imagine on a normal day. Yet now, with this invasion of sea creatures, he unexpectedly reaped so many evolution points. What was even more terrifying was that harvesting so many evolution points didn't incur the wrath of heaven or the humans. Instead, it elicited gratitude from countless humans and even mutant beasts. Smiling in his heart, the young man's figure, seated under the main body of a tree, created by Yu Ziyu, couldn't help but curl the corners of his lips into a subtle smile. At this precise moment, exhaling a long deep breath, Yu Ziyu held his breath and became completely focused. It's time for me to break through. With this in mind, Yu Ziyu truly exerted his spiritual energy to its fullest extent for the first time. Whoosh, 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 like the tumultuous waves of a tsunami, the movement of spiritual energy kicked up surging sounds. Then, amidst the shocked gazes of countless mutant beasts and humans, a surge of majestic fluctuation rose from the distant primeval forest. Boom. Looking up, one could even see concentric glowing ripples of spiritual energy spreading outward continuously, distorting the space as they traveled. And this dissemination wasn't just limited to a city or province, it extended towards the distant horizon. Federal Spiritual Energy Monitoring Bureau? What is that? Amidst voices filled with disbelief, the gazes of numerous staff members focused on the luminous waves. In their sight, a glow was expanding incessantly from a city, spreading outwards. In just a few breaths, it spread to nearly half of the continent. They were just fluctuations of spiritual energy, but as they were too vast and majestic, it resulted in their materialization and resonation with the boundless spiritual energy in the environment. 4 million, 7 million, 9 million, one exclamation followed another. No, these were no longer exclamations but screams that they somehow managed to wrung out of their throats while being strangled hard. Each staff member was gawking at the spiritual energy monitoring instrument in the distance in staunch disbelief. Until a moment later. As if reaching a critical point, the red line on the spiritual energy monitoring instrument, resembling a thermometer, rose to its peak, and then with a deafening boom, the spiritual energy monitoring instrument, which had been in operation for years, finally met its end today. At this moment, if one were to look at each staff member, they would surely witness a truly mind-boggling sight. Everyone completely stupefied in shock. It's over, it's truly over. The tree monster has actually reached quietly this level? There's no hope, there is really no longer any hope. The entire world will now grovel at its feet. Amidst murmurs, a look of despair blanketed the faces of countless people. Ordinary people might not understand what Tier 4 transcendence signified, but for people like them who deal with spiritual energy constantly, they clearly understood what a Tier 4 transcendence signified. A Tier 4 transcendent was tantamount to an unstoppable natural disaster, a moving and breathing natural disaster. Wherever they passed, they would leave nothing but devastation. Compared to the onslaught of sea creatures, just one was several times more terrifying. According to the speculation of some spiritual energy experts, a top-tier Tier 4 transcendent could single-handedly even influence the operation of the entire planet. Their existence would affect the balance of the ecosystem. It could be said that if an apex Tier 4 transcendent really came into existence, the entire planet would begin to reweave its ecosystem according to its will. What did this mean? If this apex Tier 4 transcendent was of extreme cold attribute, the entire planet would gradually descend into an ice age, transforming into a world of ice over the course of many years. If this apex Tier 4 transcendent was of extreme heat attribute, the entire planet would gradually transform into a magma purgatory. Of course, all of this was premised on the fact that this apex Tier 4 transcendent chose not restrain its own existence. And now, this tree monster was actually on the verge of breaking through that seemingly forbidden realm. Although, even if it breaks through, it would only be an early-stage Tier 4 transcendent, it would be almost invincible. No one could shake its existence. Meanwhile, in the depths of the western desert of the Asian continent, as if sensing something, a humanoid figure suddenly stood up, its eyes staring fixedly towards the east of the continent. "You're actually going to break through, huh?" Sighing deeply, Seth, known as the god of the desert and storm, slowly bent his body. A person of great strength commands respect, and someone as formidable as this, who had surpassed his understanding, made him willingly to bow his head towards. In another place, chirp, a gentle cry suddenly resounded through the sky. Looking up, somewhere in the depths of the sky, a bird as black as ink, with 3 plumes trailing behind like a phoenix, suddenly circled around and changed its direction, gazing towards the east of the continent with a burning gaze. "It's the aura of the tree monster," muttering, the demonic phoenix, known as the second monstrosity of the continent, also shook its head helplessly. Tree monster was a taboo word. The more powerful one was, the more they could feel its terror. Even if it did nothing, just remaining still in the depths of the misty mountains, the most powerful mutant beasts on the entire continent could still feel a mountain pressing on their chest. And now this mountain seemed even heavier. Chirp, giving out another soft cry, the demonic phoenix also bowed its head. In fact, the demonic phoenix was a legendary creature, known only by name to the world, not by appearance. It had a body resembling that of a phoenix, but was as black as ink. Its 3 plumes at the tail could draw out black star spots. When they swayed gently, one could see star spots scattering out of the plumes and then slowly disappearing, creating a beautiful, solitary track. This was the demonic phoenix, a legendary creature. In the past, humans attempted to hunt this beautiful creature, but the cost was immense. A 1,000-kilometer stretch reduced to a silent, lifeless zone on the continent, forever scarred. Even now, the area around that city was pitch black, as if telling the terror of the past. However, this was only the beginning. The continent was vast. Compared to what was previously known, it was slightly larger. After the resurgence of spiritual energy, the continent was expanding at a rate invisible to the naked eye. If someone was paying attention, they would surely notice that the continent had long since gained new and previously unseen landforms. Of course, few people would pay attention to this detail. Even China would find it difficult to detect. Because it did not happen overnight, but had been happening gradually over the years. In the past, China might have had a chance to notice. But now, having lost control of their technology, how could China possibly know about these changes? And now, in a corner of the continent, in a remote and desolate valley, a sleek and agile black mutant beast, resembling a majestic horse, with a peculiar black horn on its forehead, slowly raised its head and let out a neigh, gazing towards the horizon. The next moment, clip-clop, 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 its long whip-like tail swayed slightly, and this strange creature, which resembled a divine steed, majestic and agile, quietly merged into the night, treading the void without a sound, heading towards the distance. Chapter 473, Everlasting Life. The commotion caused by UZU's breakthrough continued to spread to the far corners of the world. Now, it has reached far into the oceans and even to the depths of the Arctic region. Asterisk boom. Today the millennials-old icebergs finally started trembling. In the respectful gaze of countless mutant beasts, a phantom figure slowly emerged from the iceberg. She seemed to be the embodiment of ice and snow, kicking up a blizzard with her appearance. However, upon a closer look, one could make out an outline of a woman slowly manifesting amidst the snowstorm. Ice Sprite, one of the heavenly kings of the Central Arctic region, and also one of the most powerful mutant creatures in the Arctic. Now, this powerful creature that had been lurking in this land slowly opened her eyes and gazed towards the distant south. A Tier 4 Transcendent. She heaved a sigh, with an indescribable bitter feeling rising in her heart. Tier 4, a realm as unreachable as the distant horizon, difficult to reach and even more difficult to surpass. Although a Tier 4 Transcendent had yet to appear in this world, sensing the dreadful oppression bearing down on them from the distance, many mutant beasts and countless humans collectively fell silent. Meanwhile, deep within the ocean's abyss, a tumultuous upheaval unfurled, sending shockwaves through the tranquil depths. In the depths below, a resounding whistle echoed through the vast expanse as a colossal creature, reminiscent of a towering landmass, stirred from its deep slumber, gradually peeling open its immense eyes. "No, this can't be." A voice filled with incredulity sounded. For the first time, the most mysterious sage of the deep sea completely lost all composure. Boom. The next moment, a burst of terrifying spiritual energy erupted, rising by the moment, causing the entire deep sea boil. At the same time, the sage's colossal body slowly rose. With a slight swish of its tail, it stirred up monstrous waves, propelling its massive body towards the continent. Its colossal figure transformed into the most dreadful shadow in the deep blue ocean. The blue whale was still finding it hard to accept. On the continent, there is actually such a powerful entity? And it's actually attempting to advance to Tier 4? Are you kidding me? If it's true, then all my plans would be in vain. Others might not know, but how could I not? The Tier 4 is a huge divide that separates ordinary beings from the rest. In the previous era, when it was at the peak of its glory, it was considered as the pinnacle of strength. Today this realm could be considered as invincible. While the Sea Clan sage was losing its composure, in the depths of China, Wuxia felt a mysterious force surging in his mind. It was indescribably abstruse and profound, but was deeply fascinating. He wished he could completely become one with it. At this moment, anyone observing Wuxia's tree body would undoubtedly witness its immense stature, already towering and growing once again, amidst the backdrop of loud and continuous rumbles. His trunk became thicker and thicker, resembling a towering pillar holding up the sky. His canopy became more lush and denser, with countless willow branches stretching towards the sky. Almost in an instant, Wuxia's colossal figure covered more than half of the city. A single tree, yet it overshadowed more than half of the city. It was an extremely frightful thing, but unfortunately most humans and mutant beasts were oblivious to this. All they knew was that even if this city was just a remote town, it gave them an indescribable sense of palpitation. However, that was not the scariest part. What was truly terrifying was that a massive amount of spiritual energy had already gathered high up in the sky. With a deafening boom, the spiritual energy swelled backward, resembling a towering tornado. However, at this moment, very few people paid attention to it. Ruhar, with a roar resembling a dragon's, the primary root buried deep within the ground, shaped like a dragon, actually surged deeper into the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The hard rocks in its path crumbled like paper as its terrifying suction devoured all the surrounding absorbable energy. Amidst its roars, the entire primary root kept transforming. System, consume evolution points to break through to Tier 4, softly muttering, Wuxia gave the command. Ding, please confirm if you would like to consume 10 million evolution points to upgrade various abilities to Tier 4, and attempt to break through to Tier 4? Affirmative, Wuxia affirmed with a nod. After tempering himself for a long time, he already possessed some aspects of Tier 4. In other words, the advancement of Tier 4 now was just a matter of course. The only thing he needed to pay great attention to was the spiritual energy. However, feeling the spiritual energy swirling and gathering overhead like a tornado, Wuxia was satisfied. So much spiritual energy was already sufficient. Furthermore, this was not all. As if remembering something, Wuxia's consciousness sank into a mysterious corner of his roots. The next moment, several spiritual energy pools, the size of football fields, entered his sight. Spiritual energy pools, radiating prismatic radiance, as if they were the spirit essence straight from the heavens. These pools were initially the prismatic spiritual energy Yuziyu had intercepted during the spiritual energy tide. However, the prismatic spiritual energy had long since liquefied. Now it would be more apt to call it prismatic spirit essence. These vast amounts of prismatic spiritual essence had been locked deep within Yuziyu's body by several roots, like being swallowed into the stomach. However, they had been preserved intact until now without much loss. Now this vast amount of prismatic spiritual essence would fuel Yuziyu's breakthrough. With this in mind, Yuziyu let out a long deep breath. The next moment, a terrifying suction force emanated from Yuziyu's roots. Boom, 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 with a terrifying suction emanating from the roots, the prismatic spirit essence surged towards the roots, dyeing the roots with a colorful hue. However, at this moment, as if sensing something, Yuziyu suddenly narrowed his eyes as a strange, incomprehensible feeling flooded his mind. This feeling was very peculiar, indescribably abstruse and profound. It was like a deeper level of evolution, causing even Yuziyu's body to tremble. And in the midst of this inexplicable tremor, a terrifying innate talent of Yuziyu completed its transformation. Superb regeneration, level 3, a terrifying talent unique to the plants. It greatly enhances the speed of regeneration. Even if relatively fragile parts like branches are damaged, they can regenerate in an instant with the help of the surging energy in the body. Upgraded regeneration ability, even if the majority of main body or roots are destroyed, you can slowly regenerate through the remaining fragments. This was a terrifying talent, and now it metamorphosed once again, fueled by this deeper evolution. Innate talent, everlasting life, level 4, spiritual energy never dries up, vitality never ceases. Just 8 simple words, yet they carry an indescribable sense of mystery and unpredictability. Chapter 474, Lightning Tribulation. Spiritual energy never dries up, vitality never ceases. Muttering to himself, the young man sitting cross-legged under the towering tree couldn't help but have his gaze flicker incessantly. At this moment, if one were to look into the depths of the young man's eyes, they would surely see a towering willow tree swaying gently. What terrifying innate talent! A faint smile tugged at the corner of Yuziyu's lips, seemingly coming to realize everything about it. He was unable to deny the sheer difference between before and after advancing to the Tier 4. Feeling the qualitative change he had undergone made Yuziyu a bit excited. Not to mention the just upgraded innate talent, even his tree body was 10 times more robust and harder. In the past, the Apex Tier 2 Transcendents still had some level of chance to injure him, but now, even if he stood there quietly, they won't be able to hurt him in the slightest. More terrifyingly, his level in the hierarchy of life seemed to have advanced by leaps and bounds, giving him an inexplicable feeling. Nonetheless, this feeling clearly existed. Even now, Yuziyu felt that an exceptionally strange and mysterious feeling was affecting him. However, just at this moment, an earth-shattering roar erupted, fiercely shaking the sky and the earth. Then, much to Yuziyu's bewilderment, 2 huge dark clouds converged in the previously clear sky, with intermittent lightning flashing amidst them. Lightning? Slightly puzzled, Yuziyu narrowed his eyes slightly. Having been the master of the divine ability, Lightning Strike, and innate talent, Mastery of Lightning, he had a very acute perception of lightning. However, at this moment when he looked up, he actually felt a faint pressure. Could it be that this isn't naturally occurring lightning? Could it be the legendary heavenly tribulation? A smile appeared on Yuziyu's lips, taking it not that seriously. He did not care whether it was the heavenly tribulation or what, if, with his current build-up, couldn't get through it, then no one in the world could. While Yuziyu was lost in thought, high up in the sky, the 2 huge dark clouds finally collided into each other. Asterisk boom. Asterisk with a deafening thunderclap, lightning bolts in the shape of trees struck down. At this moment, as if sensing something, Yuziyu looked up at the sky. Immediately afterward, a lightning bolt tinged with purple entered his sight, streaking towards him like a giant snake attacking him. Boom! Then, with a deafening clap, shaking the world, the thick lightning bolt struck straight on the canopy of Yuziyu. However, what changed Yuziyu's expression slightly was that as this bolt of lightning struck him, Yuziyu's consciousness trembled slightly. Soul? Yuziyu's expression slightly changed as a cry of surprise escaped his lips. When the bolt of lightning struck him, the biggest impact it inflicted was on his soul. However, what left Yuziyu in surprise was that while there was a moment of intense pain when the lightning struck him, it was also followed by a cooling sensation, as if bathing in a spring breeze, bringing an indescribable warmth. At this moment, if one were to look into the depths of Yuziyu's consciousness, they would see a humanoid phantom trembling slightly, and the phantom of a willow tree standing behind it, growing slowly, propping up a portion of the sky. And the purple bolt of lightning that descended from who knows where, upon landing, was absorbed entirely by the phantom willow tree. Immediately afterward, pure energy surged into the humanoid phantom. Surprisingly, it was twin souls. During the successive descent of the purple lightning, these two soul phantoms slowly merged, becoming indistinguishable from each other. After an unknown amount of time, Wuxia suddenly felt his body loosen up. At this moment, if someone were to look into his consciousness, they would surely see a solid figure, surrounded by arcs of purple lightning, silently standing in the depths of darkness. The figure happened to be flickering intermittently. Sometimes the figure appeared as a young man. Other times, the figure resembled a willow tree, propping up its crown, seemingly wanting to cover the entire sky. This was Wuxia's true soul form. Is it a calamity or fortune? Wuxia muttered to himself as he swayed his body slightly. Instantly, much to his astonishment, he discovered that his control over his tree body had deepened. It was as if, at this moment, his body truly belonged to him. However, it was not surprising either. The Tier 4 was not only a transformation of the body but also the sublimation of the soul. Now, with the purple lightning from the sky descending upon him, the refinement of his soul seemed to have reached a natural conclusion. However, what Wuxia didn't know was that a Tier 4's heavenly tribulation was not something that anyone could pass through as easily as he did. The heavenly tribulation was a tribulation from the heavens. Had Wuxia not already possessed a considerable portion of Tier 4's power, and now with his advancement, had gained the vast majority of the Tier 4 power, this heavenly tribulation would truly have been perilous, with only 10% chances of surviving. Yet now, much to the astonishment of countless humans and mutant beasts alike, the purple lightning that seemed to have the power to crush the very world, and gave them palpitations to the extreme, was like scratching an itch for that towering tree. If it weren't for the slight trembling of the towering tree every time the lightning struck it, everyone would have doubted whether it was really lightning that was falling on it. Is the heavenly tribulation of this world so weak? In the distance, an old man in blue robes stroked his beard, gazing at the dispersed dark clouds in the sky, lost in thought. In his previous life, the heavenly tribulation was extremely terrifying, so much so that many people resorted to many tricks and methods to avoid or withstand the tribulation. But now, looking at the towering tree that emerged unscathed from the tribulation, the old man in blue robes was somewhat puzzled. Of course, he was more delighted. For people like him who had inherited or awakened the ancient wisdom from the past era, the most frightful thing was heavenly tribulation. After all, the heavenly tribulation was the convergence of the world's consciousness. If it discovered that they came from the previous era, then what awaited them was bound to be nothing short of annihilation. However, now, seeing this tree monster undergoing its tribulation, most people's first reaction was that the heavenly Daos of this era were incomplete. And if that happened to be the case, then it would be fantastic news for the individuals of the previous era. Of course, at this moment, Wuxia had no idea that his tribulation had given many old undying bastards some misconceptions. And what would these misconceptions lead to? No one knew for sure. But one thing was certain, if someone were to perish under the lightning tribulation, they would surely recall the scene unfolding now. One emerged unscathed while the other. The disparity between them would be truly like heaven and earth. Chapter 475 The Receding Tides. Taking a long deep breath, Wuxia had already restrained his own spiritual energy. Now he had already advanced to the next tier, what remained next was accumulation. With this in mind, Wuxia's consciousness returned to his tree body. Boom, he just gave a gentle nudge to his branch, and it had triggered a dreadful storm. Though the branches appeared just as thick or thin as before, they seemed to be endowed with some kind of immense power. Wuxia just lashed his branch and then, in the astonished gazes of countless humans and mutant beasts alike, it left a pitch-black crack in space. What fearsome power! Heaving a deep sigh in marvel, Wuxia's eyes narrowed slightly. Because at this moment, he sensed a formidable surge of spiritual energy from the direction of the sea. Of course, the term formidable was a relative term, only applicable for others and mutant beasts. In his opinion, that was all there was to it. Suddenly, an extremely long whistle, as if from the loneliest watcher, resounded across the sky, carrying an indescribable sorrow. Wuxia's gaze narrowed slightly at the cry. A moment later, as if traversing space, a vast blue sea came into his view. And from the depths of that part of the sea, a colossal shadow, the size of a continent, slowly rose. Another long and mournful whistle reverberated across the sky, unwilling and anguished. However, this whistle was like an old man's cry on his deathbed, waning. I, Sea Clan Sage, have come today to seek guidance. Amidst the mournful cry, a voice also emerged from the horizon. Interesting. It brought a smile to Yuziu's lips, but he did not mind it at all. After a moment, as if recalling something, he suddenly circulated his spiritual energy and calmly stated, "Today is a great day to rejoice about. We're not willing to create unnecessary enmity." Then his voice turned cold as he stated in a low yet resonating voice, "However, we shall bestow you a leaf as a warning to others." Yuziu's voice was significantly calm and indifferent yet very profound, transmitting far into the distant sea through the fluctuation of spiritual energy. Along the way, not to mention humans, even the mutant sea creatures widened their eyes. Because the moment they heard this voice, it conjured up a terrifying sight in all of their minds. They saw a towering willow tree whose canopy shrouded half of a city alone. Then, a willow leaf slowly rose from the trunk of that willow tree. All the humans and mutant beasts alike could clearly see that willow leaf was crystalline and adorned with intricate patterns, continuously intertwining with each other. It appeared as sharp as a blade. Faintly, they could even see a sharp aura circulating around the edge of the willow leaf. The next moment, countless humans and mutant beasts heard a ripping sound, akin to the tearing of a cloth, and then the space seemed to have torn apart. By the time everyone reacted, everything had returned to normal as if nothing had happened. However, just when everyone was puzzled, an extremely mournful cry came from the sea. Meanwhile, deep in the sea, a slowly rising continent suddenly trembled. Is this the power of a Tier 4 transcendent? Stunned for a moment, the overlord from the depths of the sea also stared blankly at the willow leaf on the center of his forehead. The willow leaf happened to be as thin as a cicada's wing, yet even such a thin willow leaf managed to plunge halfway into his forehead, and at a speed that he could not even react. What was even more terrifying was that the spiritual energy of the Sea Clan Sage, which had already been seething thanks to the Sea Clan Sage burning the last of his life force, was completely suppressed. "Since you're already past your prime, why seek death?" A faint voice came from the willow leaf as the Sea Clan Sage saw a youth standing quietly on a towering tree in the sky, gazing down at him. If the Sea Clan Sage gave out successive mournful songs, but he chose to retreat, sinking slowly into the deep sea. However, he knew that his time was up, and in at most 3 days, the willow leaf half embedded in his forehead would devour his everything and complete its own transformation. And now, the terrifying entity of Tier 4 had given him some time to settle his affairs, a farewell. Be that as it may, it was both tragic and lamentable. However, the Sea Clan Sage harbored no resentment. He remained as calm as ever. The strong devours the weak. It was simply the law of the jungle, a cycle of nature. Today he lost, and meeting his end was just a matter of course. Fortunately, the towering willow tree showed its kindness, and gave him time to settle his affairs. With these thoughts in mind, the Sea Clan Sage, using the secret technique of the Sea Clan, suddenly sang an extremely long song, the last sound of his life. The song, filled with sorrow, spread continuously across the oceans. Meanwhile, all the sea kings who had been waging wars on different continents seemed to have sensed it in unison, their expressions changing drastically. Ruhar, the Flood Dragon King, who had already swept half of the continent, suddenly raised his head and let out a shrill roar. Then, much to the astonishment of countless mutant beasts, the vast tide of sea creatures retreated like a tide. The Flood Dragon King, who was battling a terrifying entity, was the first to retreat into the deep sea. To him, the Sea Clan Sage was like a brother and a father. And now, much to his dismay, he heard his elder brother's final song. How is this possible? How could the slumbering elder brother awaken again? What he found even hard to digest was that his elder brother would be so weak, as if the flame of his life would die out at any moment. No. As the Flood Dragon King's expression drastically changed, which was a rare moment for him, he even failed to notice that the unknown beast behind him happened to have its eyes shimmering. The next moment, Ruhar, accompanied by a deep and resonant roar that seemed to come straight from prehistoric era, a thick, earthy yellow beam of light tore through the space, shooting straight toward him. On another side, Ruhar, giving out a low yet resonant roar, a colossal creature with red patterns flowing over its body suddenly narrowed its eyes, only because at this moment, the overlord of the deep sea actually retreated slowly after shooting a deep glance at him. Until we meet again. Dropping these words, the colossal monster with 8 tentacles slowly retreated with the help of the waves. Ruhar, The behemoth, Monster Zero, roared in response, but it did not give chase. Monster Zero was extremely strong, but the overlord from the deep sea was no weaker than him. Moreover, he had only promised humans to drive away the Sea King. With these thoughts in mind, he lifted his feet and started slowly making his way towards the sea. Along the way, countless fully armed humans gazed at him silently, but no one stopped him. Some even shouted at the top of their lungs in excitement, "Patron Saint, Patron Saint!" Monster Zero, in his own way, had conquered the hearts of countless humans. And this was something not even the upper echelons of America had anticipated. Chapter 476, 108 Generals. Layout. Snatching away the last chance of survival from that colossal creature, which was the size of a continent, with his natal flying blade brought a faint smile to Yu's lips. The reason why he didn't retrieve his natal flying blade immediately wasn't just about avoiding bloodshed today. More importantly, Yu needed to refine the natal flying blade with the help of this deep-sea overlord. If this deep-sea overlord didn't resist and allowed the natal flying blade to devour his body in essence, this natal flying blade would undoubtedly undergo remarkable growth. At that time, Yu would get his hands on a true divine weapon, and might even have the opportunity to acquire a psychic weapon. The so-called psychic weapons naturally had a psychic connection with its master. According to myths and legends, it possessed a weapon spirit. The blood-sacrifice demonic weapons of China were only the most basic form of psychic weapons. No, they couldn't even be considered as psychic weapons, they just contained lingering souls. According to the information Yu had mysteriously gained from having reached a higher tier, a true psychic weapon, even if it had just been raised, possessed unimaginable power. And those psychic weapons that had grown to their peak carried even more fearsome power that normal people dared not even imagine. However, the mysterious golden monkey had once said, "Our monkey clan has a fearsome psychic weapon, the sky-reaching staff. With this staff we can calm the seas and overturn the heavens. There's nothing it can't do. If I can devour the deep-sea overlord's everything, the divine weapon is within reach," Yu muttered to himself as a surge of anticipation welled up inside him. In his eyes, the deep-sea overlord had already given up resistance. With what little lifespan left and the flying blade penetrating into his body, he couldn't stay much longer in this world. Furthermore, Yu had done him a favor by not ending his life instantly with his natal flying blade and instead allowing him to live for a few more days. And the deep-sea overlord understood this. As such, he willingly gave up resistance and silently endured the devouring of the natal flying blade. Meanwhile, with his perspective at the very top, Yu gazed around at the surroundings. There were already numerous figures around this primitive forest, not just humans but also numerous mutant beasts. Compared to the fear shown by humans, mutant beasts showed more reverence. This was the biggest difference between humans and mutant beasts. Humans, with their complex thoughts, were the most intricate. In the world of mutant beasts, strength was respected. Submitting to the strong was the instinct of most mutant beasts. Of course, this strong being must be far superior to them, so much so that they could never surpass it in their lifetime. Exhaling a long, deep breath, Yu addressed everyone, a rare feat on his part. "I am the Lord of the Mist." Yu's calm and indifferent voice echoed in the minds of everyone, causing everyone to jump in fright. Then, from an unknown location, a voice suddenly resounded, "Greetings, Lord of the Mist." As soon as the words fell, one voice after another reverberated from around the forest. "Greetings, Lord of the Mist." In an instant, around the primitive forest, countless humans bowed their bodies, and mutant beasts respectfully lowered their heads. Yu slightly nodded his acknowledgement. As for whether their respect was genuine or feigned, he really didn't care. Since they had given him face, he saw no reason to nitpick their intentions. Right at that moment, Yu seemed to be struck with an idea as his tree body trembled slightly. The next moment, amidst the shocked gazes of countless humans and mutant beasts, verdant green glow surged from the giant tree that was so tall that its canopy was in the clouds. Immediately after, swoosh, 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 green specks of light fell like raindrops, endless, seemingly no end in sight. In an instant, the area for kilometers around Yu was shrouded in a rain of green specks. However, before the numerous mutant beasts and humans could react in fear, these specks merged into their bodies. Ruhar, with a sudden roar, a mutant wildebeest, amidst the stunned gazes of countless humans and mutant beasts, advanced from Tier 1 to Tier 2. At that moment, countless humans and mutant beasts finally found their bodies in indescribable comfort, as if they had been baptized, much to their astonishment. Even the injuries on their bodies seemed to have been slightly healed. I failed to appear in time during the catastrophe of the continent. All I can do is apologize here. Saying so, Wuxia controlled the rain of vitality, spreading it towards the distant horizon. Wuxia wouldn't miss an opportunity like this to win over the hearts of the people. More importantly, while the rain of vitality was as easy as waving his hand for him, for these humans and mutant beasts bathing in the rain of vitality, it was nothing short of a blessing. As such, if these beings, having bathed in the rain of vitality, became true powerhouses in the future, and made a move against Misty Mountains, they would first weigh it a little. After all, true powerhouses valued their mental states the most. When the heart is clear, the intention is clear. Today, I am benevolent to the continent and bestowed blessings upon all living beings. If someone repay kindness with enmity or harbored ill intentions in the future, the road ahead would be precarious. And this is just the beginning. With a shadow of a smile on his lips, from one of Wuxia's branches, 108 willow leaves slowly rose. Then, amidst the bewildered gazes of countless humans and mutant beasts, 108 beams of light shot out in all directions. These 108 beams of light were shimmering with various colors. Some were as green as they were in the beginning, radiating strong vitality. Some were as red as fire, turning into meteors. Of course, there was also one like a lightning bolt, tearing through the night sky. Each of the 108 willow leaves had been tempered by Wuxia with different powers. Not only were they hard as iron but also possessed extraordinary power. At this moment, looking at the puzzled crowd of humans and mutant beasts, Wuxia introduced with a smile, "I, the Lord of Mist, intend to expand Misty Mountains. Those interested can pick up a willow leaf. With the willow leaf as proof, you can become one of the 108 generals of Misty Mountains. Of course, if you don't want to join, it's fine too. These willow leaves have been tempered with my power. If you have a certain degree of wits, you can grasp it. It won't be difficult for you to reach apex order. After enlightenment, you can also use the willow leaves to come to Misty Mountains and exchange them for the treasures you desire." As his calm voice fell, it caused a stir as if a lightning strike had fallen. Looking closely, the breathing of countless humans and mutant beasts became rapid and heavier. Just at this moment, with a swoosh, a scar-faced human wielding a saber suddenly rushed towards a beam of light. And this was like firing the starting gun. "That's mine. I'm a lightning attribute cultivator. Give it to me, give it to me." Shouting in an excited voice, a superhuman turned into a bolt of lightning, shooting straight towards the direction where a leaf covered in lightning was flying. On the other side, countless mutant beasts, upon hearing Wuxia's voice, also became excited. Roar, roar, roar. Screech, screech, screech. Roars and growls of beasts and cries of birds filled the sky, and the ground started quaking before humans and mutant beasts started rushing out of the primeval forest. What was even more terrifying was that of all the humans and mutants beasts in the forest, 70 to 80% of them were all rushing towards the direction where the willow leaves were falling. Those who didn't rush were mostly just weak, and had no choice but to watch helplessly. Chapter 477 Breaking Out of the Shell, Little 10th. Looking at the countless humans and even mutant beasts rushing straight towards the willow leaves, Wuxia's lips curled up slightly, drawing a subtle arc. "Everyone in the world is greedy, and I just opened Pandora's box." Saying so, Wuxia began to manipulate his tree body. Boom, boom, boom. With intense vibrations, Wuxia's body, which overshadowed half of the city, gradually shrank, shrinking to a height of only a dozen meters in just a few breaths. However, at this moment, as if noticing something, Wuxia's eyes suddenly lit up, as if noticing something. The next moment, a streak of purple electric arc cutting through the pitch-black night caught his eyes. Following that, a strange beast with a sleek and agile black body, as beautiful as a horse, appeared before Wuxia. However, what was a bit surprising was that this horse-like creature had a black horn on its forehead, and this horn happened to have purple electric arcs streaking around it. At a glance, it appeared divine and mysterious. "Divine Tree!" Shouting in greeting, this strange creature that was treading the air respectfully lowered its head. However, what caught Wuxia's attention was that it had a piece of willow leaf tinged with electric arcs in its mouth. Wuxia was slightly stunned, unable to react for the moment. However, in a moment, looking at this remarkably unusual creature, Wuxia smiled and asked straight away, "What do you wish for?" "I wish to join Misty Mountains," came the reply as the strange creature slowly handed the piece of willow leaf to Wuxia. "No need. This now belongs to you." Saying so, Wuxia cast a long, deep glance at this strange creature. The strange creature resembled the legendary unicorn, except its entire body was pitch black as night, and purple electric arcs happened to be streaking around its horn. However, what was even more intriguing was its ears, which were long like those of an elf. In addition, its back to its buttocks were covered with sleek black hair, extending all the way to its long whip-like tail, the length of which was equivalent to its body. From end to end, it resembled a horse's mane. What an outstandingly handsome mutant beast, Wuxia silently praised in his heart, focusing his gaze over it. In an instant, a series of information appeared before him. Race, Dream Beast rank, Tier 2 Transcendent Innate Talent. Dream Walker, it's able to easily intrude into the dreams of other creatures and even able to weave it. If practiced to a certain level, it can even kill in dreams, completely destroying the enemy's spirit. Unique abilities, Purple Lightning Horn, its pitch black horn is not only immensely sharp, but it's also able to summon purple lightning, dealing destructive blows. Extreme Speed, as a beast born with the ability to traverse dreams, it's able to ignore all obstacles and freely pass through them. Dream Weaving, it's able to weave a creature's dreams using its innate talent, and even pull creatures into dreams. After thoroughly going through the status screen of this strange creature, Wuxia couldn't help but narrow his eyes. This mutant beast does not belong to this world. Wuxia made a guess in his heart, but he was a bit sure about it. Only because this dream beast was extremely strange, a strange creature that lurked between dreams and reality. However, what intrigued Wuxia was that this dream beast actually chose to follow him voluntarily. A smile flashed on Wuxia's lips, but he didn't pry further into it and directly welcomed him instead. Since you choose to join Misty Mountains, then you will be one of us from now on. Saying this, Wuxia waved his branch and stated, "Let's go." Okay. Nodding in agreement, the dream beast's pair of intelligent eyes flashed with a hint of joy. The next moment, clip-clop, 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 accompanied by rhythmic footsteps, the dream beast followed Wuxia's tree body, slowly making his way towards Misty Mountains. At the end of the day, this was not his home. Only in Misty Mountains could he feel at home. And now that he was finished placing the pieces, there was no need to stay here anymore. Meanwhile, deep in Misty Mountains, Roar, a dragon roar shook the beasts. Looking towards the sound, Little White, Snake Queen, Lung Feng and others noticed that a crack had appeared on the giant purple-black egg. Little Tenth is about to come out. Crying in joy, Little White's figure circled around the spot in excitement. Little Tenth was the wyvern, a young wyvern with very pure bloodline at that. According to Wuxia, Little Tenth might even be able to trace back to its origin and become a true giant dragon. Naturally, Little White was very much looking forward to it. After all, in ancient legends, Western dragons and Eastern dragons were both legendary creatures. They all stood at the top of the food chain. They were truly the strongest races. If Little Tenth could really become a giant dragon, then Little White could also learn from it and try to break free from the shackles of bloodline. Just at this moment, Ruhar, another dragon roar resounded, even more majestic and powerful than before. Faintly, it also carried an indescribable joy. Immediately after, in the expectant gazes of various mutant beasts, Lung Feng and other humans, a purple little claw broke its way out of the purple-black eggshell with a crack. Roar, roar, roar. Amidst increasingly excited dragon roars, the purple little claw exerted force. Crack, crack, crack. Then, amidst crisp cracking sounds of the eggshell, a strange creature, the size of a calf, covered in interwoven purple, had already broken out of the eggshell. After curiously taking a look around, its round and large yet majestic dragon eyes blinked with intelligence. Sister White, Sister Snake. Brother Lung. Sporting a smile, the creature greeted everyone one by one. It had gained sentience long ago. So, although it was incubating in the egg, it had already become acquainted with many companions via its psychic power. However, just at this moment, as if it remembered something, it suddenly shook its head and growled in a low voice, "All of you turn around right this instant." How? Little White was puzzled for a moment. As if blushing, Little Tenth's entire face puffed up. At this moment, its entire body was covered in mucus. It didn't look cute at all. It had just been born, it must be feeling embarrassed. With a timely reminder, the observant Lung Feng turned away. On the side, hearing Lung Feng's explanation, many mutant beasts suppressed their laughter and slowly turned away as well. However, at this moment, Little Tenth nervously glanced at everyone and only let out a sigh of relief when it saw that they had all turned away. Then, it turned back and looked at the shattered purple-black eggshell with gleaming eyes. For some reason, it had a strong feeling that it must eat these eggshells. It seemed very important to it, extremely so. That you're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.